I think it's recording. All right, so happy Sunday, everybody. I am super excited. Steph Davies, one of my favorite people in the world, is going to be doing a vision board training. She has like a vision board academy type group. Is that what you would call it? Is it a group training? Like
Yeah,
I'm
it's like
in it right now. I would say it's like a group of mentorship, a training.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an online workshop. So on the back end stuff you're not seeing is just, emails that are going out and an online website that hosts it. But that's basically what it is.
It's
An
amazing.
online
I
workshop.
loved it so much. She added me in there and I was like, can we do this for all of you guys? Because this is amazing. And she's awesome. So she said, yes, absolutely. And I feel like this is the best time ever to be doing it because we're kicking off a new year. And I feel like if we go into the new year without having the intentions and without knowing where our mind is going and the direction or what we want for the new year, we're kind of be squirrels. We're going to be everywhere. We're not going to start the year off the way we want to. So I hope everybody has notepad out. I just bought new pens. So I'm ready to go. And a new planner. Did you guys get new planners? I really hope everyone.
I just got the Desire Map one. I'm so excited about it.
It feels so good to have a new planner. So all of that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you, Steph, and you guys type your questions in the chat. The last 10 minutes, Steph's going to go through, and there you go.
Yay! Let's get started. I'm so excited to be here. When Jen reached out a few weeks ago and just said, can you come on and help us right now at this time of year, just get some feel goods, right? Just take this time to recenter. And we're going to talk about that tonight. I'm going to walk you through what gives goals soul. I am all about goals, all about vision. But I think it's really important to tune into why we want the things we want and how to figure that out. I think we can get so overwhelmed with social media and everyone else's goals and just all the shiny things. And so tonight, that is my intention for you, is that you walk away feeling like you have a process that you can use to really figure out what it is you want. And then you can put it on a vision board. So it'll be a little bit out of the box for vision board training, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I made you guys some pretty slides. Let me see. I need to enter full screen here because we don't need to see all of this other stuff. Okay. Are we full screen, Jen? Oh, thumbs up. Okay, cool. All right. So let's talk about designing your most abundant year yet. So like I said, we're going to do things a little bit differently tonight because I want you to get in tune with what it is you truly want this year and also how to cultivate the feelings of the things that you desire now before they're even here. So welcome. I'm Steph. If you don't know me, I'm a mom of 2 girls. We live in Portland, Oregon, and I feel so grateful that I was raised by a 16-year-old mother, and she gave me some beautiful gifts, and one of them was the gift of vision boards and creating a vision for my life. And so it is my intention to share that with you tonight and to help you open your eyes to what a beautiful process and what a beautiful practice your vision board can become. So that's what we're going to go into tonight. We're going to talk about why this is important, how to get your belief in line with the goals that you set also, so that you can be of the energy that's ready to attract the things that you want, so that you can have your head up looking at opportunities as they come, and so you can be flexible too on your way to these goals. My intention is for you to start January 1st feeling like you've already achieved all of these things because you can feel them in your body and they're so a part of you and so in alignment with who you are and how you want to experience your life that you can't help but become a magnet for everything that you want. So I know my heart's beating out of my chest like it always does when I start these things, and y'all have crazy stuff going on. We heard it at the beginning of this call, so I want to take a second and kind of just settle into the space here with a little intention, a little mini meditation / prayer for us here tonight. So turn off your distractions if you can, shut the door if you can, and just begin to get whatever you need to be really comfortable. Grab water, like Jen said, grab your journal or something to write with tonight. If you are more of just a listener, then sit back and relax and honor that you've made this time for yourself. So why not fully be here if you're here with us live or if you're watching the recording, and just know that you're here on this call for a reason, and I cannot wait to see what it is that's here for you tonight. Take a few deep breaths and just center into this space and into the room that you're in. I like to put a hand on my chest and a hand on my belly just to reconnect to my breath. Things have been crazy. It is the holidays. I know our minds are already going to what we got to do after this, what happened right before this. So reconnecting to your breath can really just help you come into this space, back into your body, into the present moment, so that you can really begin to tune in and listen to the things that come through tonight. When I ask you certain questions, when we talk about certain things, be fully present and listen to what's coming up. We're going to talk about what happens when we have goals, but then our ego pops up and tells us we can't have these, or who are we to have these? So I just want you to be really intentional with this time. I'm going to go through the content as quickly as I can because there is quite a bit, but it's such good stuff, and it is my process, you guys, and I share it with you like it is my heart on a platter right now. So I just hope that, you can create the space and the time right now to receive. Take a few more deep breaths, shaking it all off. You can wiggle your fingers and toes just to kind of, get that awareness back into your body, back into who you are and what you're here to do tonight. I wanted to start off with this quote I thought was pretty perfect for tonight. Your vision of where or who you want to be is the greatest asset you have. It's not where you are now. It's not the ways that you've messed up before. It's not all of the things that make you unprepared for these things that you want or whatever other thoughts come up. Your vision is really the most powerful thing you have for where you want to go in your life. And so tonight I'm going to share with you how to really tune into what it is you want. So let's talk about step 1 to setting goals with soul. So I want you to first reflect, right? It's the end of the year. We're looking back on what happened, what went well, what did we totally dig? What are we like, no more of that, thanks. So here are a few questions to ask yourself. You can take a picture if that's helpful so you can go back to them, but we'll just kind of go through them. I want you to first think about what went well in 2018. I made a post about this on my social media the other day because I found myself totally beating myself up over like what I hadn't done with my kids over winter break. And so I just went down like this memory lane stroll of 2018 month by month to remind myself of where we went and what we did and what I've been through and things I learned. And so if you have to do that, if that helps you, it was really, really helpful for me just to remind myself, oh yeah, like a lot happens in a year. It flies by, but you really have accomplished so much. And so I want you to first focus there. What went well in 2018 that you want to bring into 2018? So what do you want to experience more of that you experienced this year? Time with people you love, are there certain achievements that just, when you're doing this reflection, you're like, that was so fun, or that felt so good. And then what are you leaving behind? I think it's really important to acknowledge fears and also to savor the contrast that we get when we learn that there's something that we want to leave behind, something that's not for us, something that was difficult, right? So sometimes we need that contrast in order to help us get even more clarity as to what it is we want. So what are you leaving behind? And then what are you most proud of? This doesn't have to be, anything shiny. It can be that you were more intentional with the way you fed your body or the way you spent your time or your screen time or, just anything that you feel really proud of. And maybe there are a few. Hopefully there are a few. Let them be really simple. I am a gratitude junkie, and I also consider myself a simplicity junkie. And so I am grateful for the smell of coffee. I am proud of myself when I make a good choice and drink water in the morning. So what are you most proud of? I really want you to let yourself kind of run wild with this part, just so you can get your energy up. I find when I do exercises like this, I can go from kind of slunched over. That's where I was when I was thinking about all the stuff I didn't do winter break. And as I reminded myself of all the things that I had done this year that I was proud of, my shoulders, like I sit taller, my chest, my heart is open, my chin is lifted, and I'm like seeing opportunities again. So this is a really good way, guys, to shift your energy just so that you feel better in the present moment. What did you grow through? So we went through some things. What did you grow through? What were your big takeaways? Who did you grow into this year? And then don't forget to celebrate, right? Don't forget to celebrate all of these ups and downs for what they taught you, who they made you, and so you can get clear on what you want more of in the coming year. So step 2 to setting goals with soul, I call this do goals differently. Okay, so step 1, you're gonna be like, why are we talking about this? But this is my practice when it comes to attracting anything that I want. And that's to develop a set of spiritual practices or rituals that help you tune into whatever higher power it is that you believe in, that supports us all, that made the moon and the stars and the grass and the morning dew, that also created you, okay? So here's an example. When I was creating this content for you guys, some of my spiritual practices and rituals include music, songs that just help me get out of my head. And I was dancing around my office and I lit this wood. It's called Palo Santo. My husband hates it. I had to secretly shut the door, open up our sliding glass door in our office so he didn't smell it. I think it smells amazing, but it literally means holy wood. And I don't know much more about it, but I love it. And I light it and I put a song on and I dance around and I pictured all of you. And I just asked for the words to come through that you needed to hear. I thought about Jen. I thought about Melanie. I thought about Brittany. I thought about all of the leaders that were trusting me to come on here and talk to you. And I just spent those moments tuning in to that, reminding myself that there's things that I know, talking to you guys about vision boards. This is crazy, right? Like you can go on Pinterest and learn about vision boards, but I believe that we all have something really special to share. And this is how I tune into that. I want this to be under 5 minutes for you guys, whether that's a devotional and maybe it's worship music, maybe it's journaling. I'm going to share a really powerful journaling practice with you guys later. But this is literally what helps me tune into who I am on a soul essence, not as a coach, not as a mom, not as a wife, but it just reminds me of that little piece of magic that none of us really know what it is. We can't put our finger on it, but we feel it. This is what helps me tune into my intuition. So some examples of things that might help you: short meditations. I love the app called Insight Timer. It's free, and you can literally type in how much time you have, if you have 3 minutes, if you have 20 minutes, and you can type in also what it is you're looking to focus on. So if you want to focus on reducing anxiety or reducing stress or vision, anything, you can find particular meditations that are exactly what it is you're looking for. And to me, meditation is prayer, right? Like it's the time that I sit and get away from the distractions of the world so that I can let the words come through. I can let my intuition come through. And this, you guys, I know when Jen and I talked, I swear we're going to talk about vision boards tonight, but this is really good. When Jen and I talked, we were talking a lot about time management and how it's easy to get stressed when we're business owners and we feel like there's always something to do. This practice right here took me from needing an entire day to create this content for you guys, and I created it in 30 minutes. So having these rituals, these practices can help you accelerate your process. Like when you have that intention, I went in clearly, closed the office door. My intention was this training. So maybe your intention is, creating a bunch of content for a challenge group or creating a post that you're like kind of nervous about, have a practice that drops you into who you are here to be, what it is your intention is, and it will flow through you. It's going to blow your mind. So meditation might help you. Exercise is one of my spiritual practices, and I'm sure, 100% of yours too. That's when, it's hard to think about anything else. You feel really great. Obviously that's not 5-minute practice, but just as a part of your practice in general, just that really makes you strong and helps the stuff come through. I like to pull cards. I have this little set of cards that just has words. So I might go, gosh, I need some guidance for today. So I pull one right before a call, and maybe it's, abundance. And I'm like, all right, it just helps you feel connected in a different way. It reminds you that you have this power that you can call on to help you create the things you want to create, including the goals we're going to talk about tonight. Which brings me to number 2, which I'm so excited about. This is the foundation for goal setting for me now, and it is what unlocked my abundance in my daily life, making sure that my goals were in line with what brings me joy and meaning. So I want you to ask yourself and spend some time with this first, and give yourself a good amount of time. I do recommend doing your spiritual practices or rituals before you do this stuff. If you're feeling really stoked to dive into it right now, because we're in this energy together of being on the call, and you're like, oh, I'm ready to dive into it, then go for it. But maybe if you're watching the recording, or if you have to walk away to do something, you can do this later. But what brings you joy and meaning? Is it time with family? Is it time in nature? Is it cooking for people you love? Like, what really brings you joy and meaning? Like, that at the end of your life, you'll look back and this is the stuff that leaves a legacy, right? How do you want to show up for the people in your life? How rested do you want to be? How much do you want to invest in yourself and your happiness and your joy right now? So what brings you joy and meaning? This came up in a Brene Brown book. I want to say maybe The Power of Vulnerability. One of her top 3 popular books. This came up where her and her husband were in the rat race, and they stopped and they made this list. And we're going to use it tonight to reflect when you're setting these goals. But she had just had such a powerful story of them, pushing and pushing. And sometimes we can get into this cycle of setting goals just because we're like, oh, well, I need to set the next one. You guys are all ambitious people, and that's normal. I have to slow myself down sometimes and go, okay, but let me remember what brings me joy and meaning, right? Because we're worthy in pursuit of the goals, when we reach the goal, after the goal. But this is the secret sauce right here to beginning to experience the feelings that you're after in those goals now. Okay? So step 3, brain dump all of the things you'd like to experience, achieve, or call into your life in 2019. So you're going to go back. I'm giving you guys so many prompts and things to write about, but I hope that maybe you can spend tomorrow, or the last bits of winter break doing this. But, when you reflected on 2018, what are the things that you're bringing into to 2019, and also what are the new things? Maybe there's new hobbies you want to experience, something new you want to try. I want you to think about all areas of your life, right? Business, family, your relationships, your friendships, your health, your finances, traveling. Think of all of these different areas and elements of you and what you really want to focus on in 2018. Whoops. I don't know why. Did it just take me out of my PowerPoint? Hold on.
I don't know why it did that.
Isn't that the weirdest thing? Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me pull it back up. That was so weird. Never experienced that in my life. Okay, here we go. Host disabled attendee screen sharing, it says.
I didn't. Oh, gosh.
Let me see if I can send this over to you in our Facebook message, and then you could pop it up, maybe?
Okay. Yeah, we'll try it. I don't know why I would do that.
That's so weird. Whatever. Everything always happens for a reason. That's my main spiritual practice. I'm like, well, oh, interesting. Okay. Jen, let me send this over. Everybody can grab a little sip of water. Maybe someone needed to get their notebook really badly.
I know it's not.
Okay.
Open.
I just sent it over.
Okay.
There you go.
That was so weird. Right.
Trying to get me off my groove.
Oh, what the heck?
Did you get it? Did it open up?
I'm downloading it now.
I'll just have to be like, okay, next.
Oh, okay. Well, now you have to tell me how to share it.
So down at the green button, right? Share. That is so weird.
Preview. Share. Did that work?
Yep. So now you just want to go up and enter full screen, I think. Oh, it fits now too.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we were on page 5 or 6, maybe. Let's see. Or yeah, I think 5.
5. Does it show you everything?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. Weird. Anyways. Okay. So back to the brain dump. Okay. So when you guys are writing these things out, I want you to also start asking yourself, how will it feel when I achieve this? Right? What's the feeling that I'm after when it comes to this goal? Is it, more peace, more happiness, more fulfillment? Why do I want this? So this might help you start to figure out if this is something you think that you should be doing, that someone's told you would be good for you to do. But why do you want this? Is it something that you truly do want? And does it align with what brings you joy and meaning is going to be the big one. So think of those as 2 lists, right? The things that you want and then the things that bring you joy and meaning, and just see how they fit. And we're going to work on then, figuring out how to budget the appropriate time to help you do the things that you need to do daily, right? To make those happen. And you got into this work for a reason, right? So don't forget why. These lists should help you develop some of those boundaries and rhythms that Jen and I were talking about, that were one of the intentions of this course, right? Set some goals, give you a map for where you want to go, but then also help you get really clear with how you want to spend your time in your life so that you can show up, get a ton of stuff done in less time, and then get back to that list of what brings you joy and meaning. Because when you are the fullest, when you are playful and energized and so fulfilled, the work flows. The customers are attracted to that energy in you. And so it's a really beautiful thing. And I hope that those steps help you begin to feel that. We can go to the next one, Jen. Okay, so step number 4 is to witness the thoughts that begin to come up when you're writing these things, right? Your belief is your most powerful tool when it comes to your vision. I don't know if you guys have heard of the cycle of belief, right? That our initial belief, if we believe it's possible, that's going to affect the action that we take, which of course affects the results that we get, which then reinforces our initial belief. So I want you to feel really empowered when it comes to this, right? Because a belief is just a thought, and thoughts we can change, but we have to be intentional. So I just want you to start witnessing them. And I remember my husband, Alex, one time listening to me talk about this, and he's like, you think about everything you think? And I'm like, no, he's like, that sounds exhausting. And I'm like, it's not, because it just, when you're more aware, when you have this intention to do things differently and it can be easy, then screen isn't changing. Maybe it's frozen for someone else, but can you guys see slide 6? Okay. Some people are seeing 6. So.
I see it. I mean, it's like,
okay.
Do you want me to move this?
No, we'll stick with this one still.
Okay.
So I just want you to start to witness these thoughts. It's not overwhelming. It is like a muscle. So you may start to go like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how quickly I was deciding that was impossible, or that I couldn't have that, or that it must be easy for Jen or whoever because they have this, and that. I just want you to begin to witness those things, because you are as powerful as this belief that you have, right? And so this is the process that I go through when I witness some of those thoughts coming up. And I want you to recognize that those are just thoughts that are trying to keep you safe, right? It's scary to go to the next level in your life. And so it's normal for our ego to tell us like, hold on, this doesn't feel very safe, because change can be uncomfortable. So I want you to ask, where is this thought or belief coming from? right? Can you remember a time when someone told you something and it stuck with you? Is it a belief that you hold about yourself? Something like, well, I never finish things, or I never follow through. I want you to just start to witness them, and witness them without judgment. A little plug for Gabby Bernstein's Judgment Detox, beautiful book where a lot of this process has been adapted from. And then I want you to ask yourself, how can I find compassion for whoever shared this belief with me, right? I share this with my clients often. Think about, let's say it was a parent or someone who was really, meant really well. I'm sure you guys have heard some of it in your ear when you've started a journey that's out of the box, right? That's not very safe, or do the right thing, like go down this path that makes everybody feel comfortable. And so it's easy when you can take a step back and realize that these are all mostly people who mean well, even when it's us against ourselves, right? Us being tough on ourselves. But finding compassion for whoever shared this with you is so powerful. Why was this all that they had to give, right? And why was this their version of loving us? And that helps me move into forgiving myself or other people, because I know that really the forgiveness work and this compassion work and this process is mine. And I just take it one thought at a time. Okay, there's a thought that doesn't serve me. Here's where it came from. How can I find compassion for myself or someone else? And how can I then find forgiveness when we realize that it really wasn't about us, and it's not the truth? And so witnessing these thoughts, I want you to start to ask yourself, do these thoughts or does this belief take you closer to your goals? Or is it time to start to choose new ones, right? I know you guys hear about affirmations, but that's really what you're going to do here. You're just going to start to go, okay, there's that thought. Does it take me closer? No. Okay, well, I want to pick a new belief because I know it's going to inspire the action that I take. And I really do want these things. So what would be a more powerful belief? I can finish things if I decide to, right? Like, we get to just make a new choice. I explain to my clients sometimes to think about our brains, our the neural pathways. It's very easy as a habit for us to choose the thoughts we're used to. I want you to think about this if you're a visualization person, because I am. I picture myself like walking down a path on a hike, and the path is very clear, right? It's been beaten down. Lots of people have walked it. You know exactly where it's going to take you out at the end of the hike, and it's safe and it's good. And you can almost do it automatically. You're like talking to a friend or you're listening to a podcast, no problems. But then you're on this walk one day and you notice through the brush that you see a waterfall, or maybe you just hear it. You're like, oh, I got to go check that out. You mean there might be a different thing I can experience, something better? And so you're crunching on all these leaves and these branches, and you're getting closer, and it's difficult, and things are hitting you in the face, and you can't really see where you're going, but you're trusting that the noise is getting louder and you're getting closer. Maybe you hear people laughing and you're like, okay, I'm going somewhere. And all of a sudden you bust through and you see this beautiful waterfall, and you're like, oh my gosh, how did I never notice this? And then the next day you come back to this path, and it's easy for you to pick the path you know, but you remember what's on the other end of that path. And so again, you go down this path you're starting to make. Other people are starting to take it too. It's getting worn down. And all of a sudden, over time, one day at a time, one thought at a time, all of a sudden that path is just as easy to take as the path you used to take. This is how it works in our brains, right? This is how it works with our thoughts. So I want you to see that new destination, that new place that you want to go, and just to recognize that it's a process, that you will have to intentionally choose that thought, choose that belief, that you are worthy of these things, and that this is where you're going, and that you're done with those old thoughts that got you to where you are today, but now you're choosing new. So I hope that helps you guys. It's one of my favorite things ever. If that doesn't help, think about it like a muscle, right? We got to start with the 5-pound weight, then we can pick up the 10-pound weight. So one day at a time, one thought at a time. And I wanted to offer you guys up my co-creation journal practice. So this is a part of my spiritual practice. It's my morning journal routine, and it really helps me get clear on the goals that I want. And it helps me in that daily part of what I need to do for those bigger goals. Okay. So first I do a page of gratitude. I don't think there's anything more powerful that makes you more of a magnet than gratitude. And so I just dump probably takes me 2 minutes, fill a whole page of everything around me that I'm grateful for. Then on the next page, I journal my desires. What is it that I want to get done today? Who is it I want to impact today? What is it that I want to call in today? What experiences, what feelings? Oh, I'm going to be so rested. I'm going to help this many people. And just let it flow. And then on the third page, I journal my fears. I think that this is one of the places that we can go wrong when we're trying to hold a positive mindset, is that we try to bypass the fears. We're like, oh, there's a fear. Nope, let me scrub some like magic on it and not pay attention to it. But it's so powerful when you take away the power by just looking at it. Just simply writing them out helps me get past them and helps take away their power. So what I do is on my third page, I just journal my fears when it comes to those things that I'm saying I want. And as I'm writing them, again, it's like a spiritual practice, because I'll be like, what if I'm not good enough to do this work? And then eventually at the end of this page, I'm writing the opposite. Of course, I'm worthy of this work. Of course, I'm worthy of these goals. My intention is to help people heal and to believe in themselves. So it just helps me move through that and do something with it. Okay. So I hope that helps you guys. It's my daily journal practice. I call it my co-creation journal practice because it just helps me get clear on what needs to get done that day. Vanna White, we can go to the next slide. Okay, so there's some woo. I want to give you like a quickie on creating vision boards. These are a few of my favorite ways when I have that list, when I'm really clear on what I want. It's time to create, right? Some people really dig lists and some people aren't really visual. So I want you to pay attention to what brings those feelings up in you where you're like, oh my gosh, I can feel that happening right now. So there's the old school poster board and magazines. This is a great reason to host a party and have a bunch of friends, bring some old magazines, sit around, cut things out. This can take a little bit longer, I find, because you're like looking for things to pop up. And so it might be something that is more of a process that you're adding to, may take you a week or two to complete. No big deal. Grew up doing these. I love them. Then there's the new school way, digital. You can use PicMonkey or Canva, or even I've seen people use a collage app on their phone, because then you can put some words on top and do all that kind of stuff. And it's super simple and quick. You can get on Pinterest, find images that help you feel the feelings that you're feeling when you look at your list of your goals. And so that may be really a quick and easy way for you guys to do that. And then I love the hybrid. You can use a cork board. You can print stuff out off of Pinterest. You can do the magazine clippings. And I really love this option because you can update it. So you can take things down once they're achieved, put them in a little sacred envelope, and then move on to, your next goals. So some people really like that flexibility. Oh, you hear? Oh my goodness. Okay, we can go to the next slide. I want to show you guys my vision board real quick. Not that it matters, but it's kind of fun. I'm a digital girl. I like to give myself a few weeks to just kind of let it evolve, let it come through. I love to find pictures. I love to put words over them so they're very specific, so that I know the kind of action that I need to take on them. I love picking a word or a quote to really marinate on. So here's just one example of how yours may look.
What did you use for this?
I used Canva. Okay. So in my Vision Action Academy, I walk you guys through how to make a vision board like this. So, it's super simple because you just upload the pictures and, I made a background, but I really like to just move it around until it's like all vision. It's all my dreams. And I want to say something really quick about this too, guys. As you're reflecting, maybe you have a vision board from last year. And so I want to tell you how I felt when I looked at this, because a bunch of it didn't happen. And so no, it doesn't mean that vision boards don't work, because I get to decide what it means. But it's interesting how certain things came true in ways that I never expected. Okay. And so part of this is setting your intention, setting goals, being really just excited to go out into each day, knowing the feelings that you want to cultivate today in your life. And in the course, I talk more too about the rituals that I do daily, looking at my vision board daily, where I have it throughout my house and why that's so important, so that they don't just collect dust under our beds, half done, been there, not passing judgment because I've been there, but they're really powerful when you work with them. So as you reflect, I just want you to also just, get curious about how it came up in different ways. And also when you're creating the vision boards, just letting yourself dream as big as you can get behind and doing the things that feel really good to you. And don't worry about like, oh God, how am I going to get all this done? I'm a big believer in, what do they say? Reaching for the moon so you land among the stars. Like, it's all progress. So I hope that was helpful for you guys to see it, because they're like my favorite things ever. Okay, so the next couple slides, I just want to talk to you guys really quick about, some of the things that I know come up when I'm talking to students in the course or clients. What if I fail at what I say I want to achieve, right? Like, some people are like, let me just set this real low, or let me not do this because like, it's kind of scary, right? And so I want to remind you that you can't fail as long as you're moving in the direction of what you want. You can't mess it up. I have people that are like, can I set the wrong goals? I'm like, no, you can't mess it up. This is yours. This is what you want. It doesn't need to make sense to anyone but you. And your boldness and your vision will inspire others, even if it makes no sense to them. Even if you're looking at that and you're like, whoa, girl, I see some of this stuff. Like, what's that about? It doesn't matter. It inspires you to think about the things that you want. And that's what matters. So go big. There's no failure. All right. What if I don't know enough to reach my goals, right? What if you're like, okay, I've set these goals, now what? But I want you to start recognizing even those thoughts, right? What if you did? What if you only need to be 2 to 3 steps ahead of the people that you want to help and the things that you want to do in order to reach your goals, right? So to create a life that lights you up, you just need to be in that process of learning. You know enough right now to help people and to reach your goals. And like I said, when you lead with vision, people are going to feel that, and it's going to inspire them to ask themselves what they want. And that's a really beautiful thing. I don't know if there's really a greater gift. And the last one, but what if you could? I want to remind you that your desires wouldn't be given to you if there wasn't also a way to achieve it. And that is pretty cool. And then our last slide, going to leave you with a quote. I'm a quote girl. I love this quote so much. I shared it actually in a course that I'm teaching right now, and I think it's beautiful and fitting for us here too. I'm not fully healed. I am not fully wise. I am still on my way. What matters is that I am moving forward. So beautiful. And I really think it's like the key to happiness. I know that when I'm not moving towards something, even if it's little, like I don't feel as well. I don't feel as energized or as invigorated or as inspired. So all of this, I hope, was helpful for you guys. I know we didn't talk much about actual vision boards, but that stuff you can learn. I want you guys putting the right stuff on those vision boards.
Exactly. Honestly, I want to say that I think that anybody can cut out magazine pictures, and any of us know how to grab Google images and put them in a collage. But yeah. I think the biggest thing, and what I knew you would bring, and you did, and thank you so much, because just stuff you were saying like resonated so much with me too. Let me stop the share. For me too is I needed to hear the stuff about facing your fears, but kind of like the process you talked about. And guys, to kind of give you background on what Steph does, I wanted to wait till the end of the call so she could kind of go through how her course works. But Steph has like an entire course. So this is like a snippet of the whole course where we really dive into everything she kind of summed up for us. But more so than just the course, like she's a life coach, business coach, spiritual coach. So if like you're struggling with mindset right now, or you're struggling with direction or just vision in general, like Steph helps you work through that. So she has this vision board or this Vision Action Academy, it's called, right? Vision Action Academy. That's the name of the course she has, where you dive into this even more. The stuff that she highlighted, which for me, and you guys know, I've been in this business for going on 6 years in February. And as we all know, our business evolves and it evolves. And the things that I did in 2014 and 2015, and even last year, guys, like it changes and then it stops working and then it works. And so as every stage of your business, there's fears of setting new goals, and then you might hit a goal and then you go backwards. And it's just a constant game of balance and recasting your vision of where am I going now? Mm-hmm. So I feel like I think, I wrote the note. You start with gratitude, which was so
Mm-hmm.
important because I think sometimes, especially when a lot of us wake up on Thursdays, what's the first thing we do? We compare. So we're like, she did this, she did this, she did this, my paycheck wasn't big enough, I didn't rank advance, and you go through all of these things. So it's like immediate negative stuff, right?
Yeah,
But
like
if you
such
look
low
at it,
energy. Yeah.
start with the gratitude. What am I thankful for? Which, and I don't do that stuff. So like, I think wrote that down. Start with what am I thankful for? So that immediately I'm being like, well, I have this. I might not have this, but I have this. So let me be thankful. The desires. Okay, so I'm thankful for what I have. What do I hope to get? And
Mm-hmm.
so that was desires was number 2, right? And then the fears. So
Mm-hmm.
what is holding me back from getting what I desire? And what is holding me back maybe from accomplishing the next thing, right? But I like how you broke it down like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did that resonate with you guys too? I mean, it just the way it was like light bulb went off for me. Like, we can't start with the fear or we're
Mm-hmm.
never going to get to the gratitude. We're going to get hung up
Mm-hmm.
too much on that step. So did you want to talk a little bit about the course before we go into Q&A? Like maybe.
Yeah, yeah. And I also want to touch on that too, because even putting desires before the gratitude would be a funky order for our energy. Like sometimes I think we are such strivers when we're in the world of entrepreneurship that it can be like, even when you're hitting goals, you're like, okay, next, like there's always something else to achieve. And so there's a book I'm listening to right now, guys. You have to listen to it. It is called, I'm going to look and make sure because, you know, you can mess it up really easily. I believe it's called Happiness. Yep. Happier. See, could have just messed up. Happier. And he talks about how happiness is the ultimate currency. Right. And so that's what your vision board can do for you. And what we work on in the course is creating rituals around your vision board so that you see it daily, so that you're using it daily. And then the reason I called it the Vision Action Academy is a vision board is no good without action. Right. So then we talk about that inspired action piece. And I also teach you how to make a vision board. And then we talk about how to get others on board with your vision. I know that when you step out and do really bold things, it can be scary for people around you. And so I share some of my top tips on how that's helped with my spouse and also people around me when you're striving for big things so that you can feel supported, right? And bring others into your vision and remind them of these things that you're striving for and how they are a part of that, not separate from it. So it's a 1-week course. It's super manageable and easy to get through. It's really fun. We have a Facebook group, like Jen said, and you also get those 4. They're about an hour trainings that walk you through how to make a vision board, some of the stuff we talked about tonight, and then again, getting really solid in your vision board rituals so that you can get in the feeling. I explain it to people kind of like that example I told you guys about with like the shoulders down and shoulders up, like when I remind myself of what I know and what my intentions are when I'm helping people. It's similar to that. I feel like when people, you know, there's people believe different things when it comes to the law of attraction, right? Like, oh, I wanted a parking spot and it was there. But really what I think it's about is you're looking down, right? Like we're like, oh, this isn't happening. But what if we were like, let me like lift my head and see what's around, because you're more intentional. You're thinking about the things that you want. And so you're more open to seeing opportunities to make them happen. So maybe you would have been like all grumpy driving around and you wouldn't have seen the spot. And then you're like, see, I always get the shirt, you know, got a pack back here. It's really about opening our eyes. I think in the secret, you know, they talk about like looking around right now and looking for everything red, right? Like do it right now real quick. You're like, okay, what's red? Got a red book, like, and then you come back and you're like, okay, now tell me about everything that was yellow. And you're like, it's all about what we focus on. And so that's what your vision board is too. It's just helping you focus on the feelings that you want to have, the things that you want to have in your life so that you begin to see the opportunities to make them happen. That's probably how you all became coaches. You were like, I want to do something else. Like I got to do something here. And then boop, a post pop up. Maybe Jen had already posted 3,800 times in the last 6 years, but you saw this one because you were open to it and you were looking for it and you were open to creative possibilities, right? So long story long, I'm really short-winded. I love the course. We start January 8th to really do this deep dive and help you get really intentional with your course. I mean, with your vision board. And so when Jen and I were talking, I wanted to make it super accessible for you guys. It's normally $111, but I'm going to give you a link that'll make it $55 through the end of the first. I wanted you guys to have time to share that with your teams if you wanted to have a girlfriend jump in with you. Some of you may have already been in the course. You can tell everyone how you felt. It's amazing. I love it. So the link is tinyurl, and I'll give it to Jen too.
I'm going to type it too. Tinyurl.
Whatever the slash is, I don't know if it's back or forwards, whatever the normal slash is. early bird. So I'm making this the early bird price for you guys, because on Tuesday it'll go up to $77 on the first. Okay. So you have 2 days for that $55. And
I don't think I did.
tinyurl.com. Let me see.
Slash.
I think that's right. Let's see. I'm going to click it. And we'll see where it takes me.
That's amazing. Like,
yeah.
I'm super excited. Who's going to do it with me? Because I really want to do it.
Well, and what's fun about the course is you guys get access for life too. So whenever I add new content, you get that. You get unlimited replays. If you can't get it all done in that week because kids will be going back to school and things will be crazy, you get it forever. There's like 150 girls in the group now. Jen, that was the right link.
Okay, cool. And then I'll save that and I will share it with everyone else's leaders in our little Slay Squad Mastermind group chat. I will share it in there. So if you guys are not on my team, then you will get it.
Yeah, I would love to have you guys in there. I would love to double that group and for everybody to be like, whoa, what just happened? I opened the course this time last year and I have only launched it another time a few weeks ago, the one Jen was in, but it's really fun and just can help you get really intentional with 2018 and to have more fun in the process.
And I like what you said with when you shared your vision board, I'm going to go back to it. Oh, I don't think it's going to show it now. Darn it. But how you looked back at it and you were like, okay, so I might not have hit all these things. I looked back at mine from last year and half the stuff on it, guys, I was like, that's not even me anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's going to happen too. And it's kind of cool when you do these vision boards and you look back at the last one and you're like, look at the growth that I did have this year. Mm-hmm. And I changed and this and that. But even if you don't meet those goals, you watch that journey of yourself along the way. Mm-hmm. So I just can't recommend doing them enough. I started doing them maybe like 4 years ago. And I've watched kind of my progression of myself over the years with them. And so it's really amazing to watch your growth and to what you did accomplish and maybe a new vision, for next year. But did you guys have questions, like any specific questions about what Steph talked about, or maybe a question you're struggling vision-wise, or how you want to lay something out, or anything? We'll give it like a minute for you guys to type. And if not, if you have a question, I know it's like putting on the spot in front of everybody sometimes.
I know someone had asked about the slides, and so I sent them to Jen. If you guys want those, feel free to send them over too. Then you guys can zoom in on my vision board too and see the little things on there. But notice too, like I've had vision boards that were all business, and then it was like squeaky little things of just me, my things. But I am a firm believer, and like Jen said, things change. And I think what is working now is people who are feeling really good. Like there are times when, I'm not posting on social media for a couple days because things happen, and like 4 people sign up for a course. It's all about your energy and your belief. And so the more you can get right with that, and it's sticky work, right? That's why I'm like, well, they're going to be a little bummed if they think we're going to be pasting things tonight, because I'm going to tell them the real deal, because it's the process that I use. And it's not always easy, but it's so much easier on the other side of it. Okay.
People that posted questions.
Okay. Do you want to ask them, or do you want me to look in there?
Will the course address when you feel like you don't know your vision?
It will go in deeper on kind of the stuff we talked about tonight, right? I think that's really where you should start, is doing that reflection so that you can ask yourself, even if it's just feelings like, I want to be more happy. Notice I keep saying rested. I will tell you this too, when we talk about it in the course. I put on my vision board last year, it is safe to rest. And I was like knocked on my behind with health issues. And so you do have to be very careful. Like, I am going to put optimal health and like vibrant energy so that like that's what I receive, not like the universe is like, well, then sit down, like, oh, I'll show you it's safe to rest, because you're going to freak out because you have no other option. And my mom used to tell me when I was a kid, it was my favorite. She's like, you got to be careful. Don't put big house on there because you might end up in the big house. And I was like, oh my God.
So well, that's intentional too, like being intentional with what we
yeah. So we'll go in a little bit more kind of to the process we talked about tonight, but I would encourage you to start there, right? Just reflect on the parts of your life that you do, that you have enjoyed, and create something that you can get behind, right? When you see someone like Jen or, other people that inspire you, and you see them setting these crazy big goals, remember that they once had a goal to figure out how to make $100 on their own. Right? And so you have to be able to get behind it. It needs to stretch you a little bit so you can use that process of like, why am I freaking out and not believing in this? So it should stretch you a little bit, not like, oh, I got that in the bag because I always do that, right? But it shouldn't be so big that you can't even get behind it. Because I explain to my clients like this, like, we all have our own glass ceiling. So at each level, we have to process the same stuff. At each level, I've got to go through the same beliefs of having a dad that ran out, right? It gets easier to go through. It's kind of like that process I told you guys with picking the new thoughts. I'm like, okay, here we are. I'm having a moment. Okay, here's what I know to do. Here's my process. Here's how I work through it. And my comeback is quicker. So, but at each level, we've got to like bust through that glass ceiling. So I want you to give yourself permission. That's why I told you to ask yourself, why do I want this? Is it because I see someone else wants it, right? We just downsized from a giant house to a 3-bedroom, 1,400 square foot house because this is what we like. We like to be close together. We like to be cozy. We'd rather have a second home. I know we can have it all, but it's just what feels good for us. Mm-hmm. But for so long, I did get caught up in what I thought I should want based on where I was at in my life, right? And that's okay. We learn, right?
Well, and lead with joy, which to me, and it's like, we're all, like what you're saying, it's like everyone's gonna have a different version of what that joy is. And you said that, Adina, I think, and I've said this on a couple of calls where people are like, well, you seem to recruit more coaches than you do challengers. And I found with my business a couple years ago, I don't like running challenge groups. It doesn't bring me joy. So in my business, I focus on recruiting. I focus on training coaches. I focus on mentoring. I love it. That's what fills me up and makes me feel good. I talk to some other leaders and they're like, I hate recruiting coaches. I love being in my challenge group. I love working the fitness aspect. So your joy is going to be different than someone else's joy. And I would say to find your vision, like how Steph said, find the things that make you feel good and bring joy. That's where the vision is going to come. What you want to accomplish is what makes you feel good. That's what we have to lead with for sure.
Mm-hmm. And to face that scary, like, when people are like, what, you're crazy. I took my kids and my dog and my husband and we lived in a van all summer. Like, we took crazy risks and people are like, y'all all right? And I'm like, yeah, we're fine. We just are like finally deciding to cut the crap and do the things we want to do. Right. So I know you're all here because you're already doing really bold things. So yeah.
So another question's from Mindy. How long do you spend on each page of the co-creation journal?
I would say that I sit in front of a fireplace that I totally manifested because that's a part of what we talk about in the course. We're closing our eyes. We're really putting ourselves in each of those things you're putting on your vision board. And I would feel that like warmth. And so I sit there and I just feel the gratitude for, feeling like I'm still a kid playing house. Anyone else feel me? You're like, am I grown up yet? And so I probably spend 10 minutes. I pull a couple cards. I'll grab the decks. I see them on my desk and show them to you guys. They're a couple of my favorites. And I'll pull a card since we're all so connected right now. But the time it takes to write with your hand, it probably takes me 2 or 3 minutes per page. I really try to not hold myself back and to just let it flow. I'm writing the gratitude. I'm like, this cozy blanket, like I love my ceramic cup. I love it all because then I know that makes me a magnet for more and it just opens my eyes. This is a fun example. I explain it like the kid on Christmas that keeps blowing through presents and you're like, hey, Say thank you. Did you even see that? That's how I feel like the universe works too, or God or source or whatever it is you believe in is like, all right, kid, like show me you're grateful for what you have, right? It's not just like, oh, this crap, like give me more. Like that's not a good, that's not the parent. That's not the parent that wants to give you more presents. Let me grab these.
That's an example. I love how you were like, I love the smell of coffee. Like sometimes we're only thankful for like the really big things. Like, oh, I'm thankful for my kids and thankful for my husband. What about the little things, And I feel like we can't brush over those. Start with the little and then work through the big. Appreciate
Oh my God. You ever had a sore throat and you're like, I swear I will be grateful every day I don't have a sore throat. I mean, we got to get really grateful. I see everyone's like this and then we're like, oh crap, I forgot to be grateful for not having a sore throat today. It's my favorite. Okay, I just pulled 2 cards. I always pull 2. I'll show you guys this little deck. They're called angel cards. They're really tiny. They just have words on them and I love them. I always pull 2 because I think they like play together. Grace. Great one. Give yourself grace while you're going through this process. And tenderness, which is interesting. I know. That's very sweet. I know someone had asked what my IG was. It's Free Spirited Boss Babe. Someone had typed it much earlier in the comments.
And then do you put, I'm sorry, she had another.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you put just goals that are doable for the year, or do you add bigger goals too? And I know Crystal's asking this because her and I were just talking about huge goals for her next year.
Yeah. I mean, I would put them all because I think you can transfer ones from last year onto the next. Like I said, when I showed you guys mine, initially you could go like, whoa, how am I going to, have sexy time with my husband that many times a week, go on hikes that many times a week, see my friends that many times a week, but whatever, I'm going to aim high, right? Because then, it'll all be gravy, whatever comes in. So put them on there as long as they feel good. If you put it on there and you're like, how am I ever going to do that? Notice it, do some unpacking around that. Like, okay, other people are doing it. Let that be proof, right? Okay, there's just steps. Let me take it one day at a time. Let me do this process one day at a time. That journaling process, sometimes I have my clients also do the Course in Miracles. I'm going to have to pull it up on my other little computer over here for you guys. It's a really great prayer from A Course in Miracles, which is like a little Bible of explaining things from the Bible, which I really love. She says, somebody already knows it probably. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And to whom? So I love that.
I love that. What book was that from?
A Course in Miracles. It's like a thick, it's basically like reading a Bible. It's really dense, but you could probably go on Pinterest and look up A Course in Miracles and get like some fun quotes and just nuggets from it. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And to whom?
I love that.
If you're just feeling kind of directionless, you have your power hour, guys. You're like, okay, I know the steps, but like, what do I really like? Who can I touch today? And like Jen was talking about the waking up on Thursdays or the, getting into that cycle of achieve. Oh gosh. When it just leaves you and you feel it leave you, like the thought, it just went like on an airplane.
Oh, no. I think when you wake up like that, it makes you feel exhausted. I mean, I think it drains you. It depletes your cup. It leaves you kind of not wanting to cast further vision, but you wanting to give up and throw in the towel. At least that's how I felt in the past. When I allowed myself to get sucked into that, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just not going to try anymore. Or I'm just going to do something else. And then I think that's not me really feeling that way. It's fear creeping in, and it's fear of, failing creeping in. So I don't know. I think that waking up on those Thursdays for sure can just empty our cup instead of fill it. Someone asked where the cards came from, angel cards.
I just got them on Amazon. I think they're like $10. And I also have The Universe Has Your Back, Gabby Bernstein cards. They're really pretty. It's just, when I feel just like I'm in my head and I need to remember that there's more going on, I just pull them out and I'm like, okay, what do I need to hear today? I'll pull one of these for you guys too, because they're so fun.
And the Course in Miracles, is that Amazon too? Someone
Should be on it. Yeah, should be on Amazon.
everything's on Amazon.
Okay, when I lean on certainty and faith, I change my mind about the world I see. So when you wake up every day knowing that there's goals that you want, that there's a way to make them happen, that you have all of the joy and the capacity for joy in you today already, the rest is just going to add it, right? It's just going to add to it. These goals should add to it, not be the end all. When I reach this, I'll feel this, right? Like there can be feelings and I'll be excited, I'll feel accomplished, but it shouldn't be because there's something that we're not feeling right now, if that makes sense.
Totally. Well, thank you so much,
that.
Steph.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you guys, I have the link. I'm going to share it in my team page and I'm going to give it to all of your coaches so that it can be reshared. I'm super excited. Just from what I saw of the last run of the course, it was incredible. And just everything you talked about tonight hits home so hard. So thank you so much for having us. And thank you guys for hopping on. Happy Sunday.
Happy New Year, guys.
Oh, yes. Happy New Year early, guys. And have a great night.
All right. See you guys.